Hello everybody, I am today going to be going over some of the Missouri State All-State Band audition materials. So we're going to be looking at Etude number 1, which comes from the new set 3 of audition music for All-State. So this Etude is marked Allegretto with the dotted quarter between 60 to 80 beats per minute. It's also got a style marking for spiritoso, a bend staccato. So spirited and with staccato. We're thinking kind of quick here. This etude's moving. It's gonna have your fingers moving quickly, and it's gonna require some techniques like double tonguing, especially if you're shooting for that metronome marking that they have there written. You're gonna have to use some double tonguing, and you're going to need to probably do some exercises to practice switching from upper octave to lower octave, kind of like the figures that are in like measure 28, 29, 30, those sorts of figures. You're going to have to practice being able to switch from a higher octave to a lower octave. We don't have very many dynamic markings in this piece. The first one we see comes in measure 15. It's marked piano. And then we have a forte in measure 16. Some things to be aware of are the grace notes. We have grace note measure 1, measure 5, 6, 7, 9, 13, 14, and 15. So these are almost always, I think they are always, yes, just a half step lower than the note that it precedes. So the grace note in measure 1 is a E sharp, which is enharmonically the same as an F natural. And the really important thing to remember here is that the emphasis is not on the grace note. The emphasis, most of these are all marked with an accent marking on the 8th note that the grace note leads to. The grace note should just be a fleeting little ornament to the note. The only really tricky one of these is in measure 5. We're going from a C sharp to a D. So you can actually use your first trochee for that. If you finger out a C and then a D, you'll see that those are the same sounds. So for that C sharp to D, you can just go. And then the B sharp to C sharp is, because a B sharp is the same as a C. So we're just picking up this first finger. Some other considerations are, the pickup to measure 17, you're going to be needing to double tongue. So I would recommend working on some scales to practice your double tonguing. You can really create your own patterns, whatever feels right to you. Like you can go. That's just a B flat major scale, right? You're doing 2 per note. Use a metronome when you're practicing your double tonguing. Start slow and work your way up. It's like strength training for your tongue. So it's going to take some time to work up that skill, especially if you've never used that skill before. So start working on that now, and you have plenty of time until All-State auditions to improve that skill. So it's going to be great. In measure 19 and around that area, following that area, we have a lot of chromatic passages. You should already have to learn your chromatic scale for All-State auditions. So take that practice and apply it here. You're going B natural to A sharp, back to B natural. That's just a half step chromatic. There's lots of little chromatic figures in here. Down in measure 33, in that last line, the beginning of each of those measures is accented. Be careful not to speed through those measures. It can be easy to rush through that last line, but just place some emphasis on the very beginning of each of those measures. You've got the same pattern going on. The only thing that's changing here is the very first note of the measure, and it is just moving up by a half step each measure that you go on. So learn that pattern, practice that pattern with the metronome, and you should be in good shape. Measure 36 has a rallentando. So slow down, spread it out a little bit, make it a little dramatic, and then immediately jump back into a tempo at measure 37. You have a 30-second note triplet in that bar, and that just means that little triplet is like a flourish that only takes up the space of a 16th note. So it goes quick. It definitely goes quick, especially if you're working up to the metronome marking of 80. Okay, I'm going to play a demonstration for you now of what this would sound like with a metronome. Okay, this is going to be dotted quarter equals 80 beats per minute. You'll have to forgive me, I don't have a metronome right now that can cut out after a certain amount of measures. So at the very end, there's a rallentando. I'm just going to go out of time with the metronome at that point to do the rallentando. So forgive that.